Hi, I'm Brandon Ashplant.
And I'm Gabby Hartfield.
And you're watching The State of It. The Manchester Airport Group is bidding to run Sofia Airport in Bulgaria. The group already operates 3 major airports in the UK, including London Stansted, East Midlands Airport, and of course Manchester Airport, which together serve 60 million passengers per year. The Manchester Airport Group's bid is supported by a Chinese construction firm, BCEG, which has a history of supporting the group in fulfilling its production endeavours, notably on the Airport City UK construction project in Manchester. Of the partnership, BCEG's regional director said in a statement that it was an honour to be working with the Manchester Airport Group on yet another project. The Manchester Airport Group has stated that winning the bid could mean that Sofia Airport may become the jewel in the crown for the organisation, being the company's largest international project to date. In other news, plans to build a home energy research centre in Salford has been given the green light. Energy House 2.0 at the University of Salford will be the world's first all-weather research centre. Its aim is to study various possible ways of saving on energy bills. The research centre will offer state-of-the-art research for companies looking to further innovate in the smart home, energy and digital sectors. The Mayor of Manchester, Andy Burnham, championed the idea, stating that it would further Manchester's goal of becoming one of the most green cities in Europe. On Saturday, protesters of the English Defence League, commonly known as the EDL, held a rally in Manchester city centre which was met by the so-called anti-fascists, commonly known as Antifa. The protest drew mockery for its small scale, particularly how the number of police outnumbered those part of the EDL march. And finally, concerns over the deaths of 2 homeless people in Manchester city centre has sparked new concern about those living on the streets after the 2 individuals were found dead over the weekend, less than 24 hours apart respectively. One man was found on Deansgate on Saturday morning, and another in the early hours of Sunday morning. Neither of the men have been formally identified as of yet. The rapid increase in the number of homeless people has been something that Manchester and other cities around the UK have been struggling with in recent years. Of the incident, Andy Burnham referred to the state of homelessness across cities in the UK as a humanitarian crisis. Burnham plans to roll out a scheme that will get rough sleepers off the streets and into beds. Burnham said that from his point of view, as of next week, we are moving to a bed every night. That was your weekly roundup of local news for students.
Hello and welcome to your national and international news update of the week. Your top stories of the week include the People's Vote March in London this weekend, where we saw 700,000 turn out in demand of another referendum. Other stories include the US pulling out of the INF Treaty, and finally, the latest update on the Jamal Khashoggi story. This weekend, we saw up to 700,000 demonstrators turn out for the People's Vote March in London, demanding a final say on any Brexit deal. Individuals and groups walked to Parliament Square, where politicians and celebrities addressed the crowds. TV chef Delia Smith told the crowds that Brexit was the most important issue of our lifetime, urging MPs to let the people have their say. This is a huge increase in the turnout in comparison to the Brexit March in June, which saw a count of 100,000 protesters. The march was held at the same time as a pro-Brexit rally in Harrogate. The Leave Means Leave group, led by former UKIP leader Nigel Farage, saw a much smaller turnout of 1,200 Brexiteers reportedly in attendance. Farage claims that the will of the people needs to be respected, a phrase which could potentially not see in his favour after such breakout of the British public this weekend. The UK, France and Germany issue a joint statement condemning the killing of journalist Jamal Khashoggi at the Saudi consulate in Istanbul and called for urgent clarification of what happened and how he died. The statement goes to say that the threatening, attack or killing of journalists is unacceptable and that they will ultimately make their judgment based on the credibility of further explanation they receive about what happened. Jamal Khashoggi was a well-known journalist and critic of the Saudi government who up until recently went into self-imposed exile in the US. From there, he wrote a monthly column for the Washington Post in which he criticised the policies of the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. After initially denying their knowledge of his condition or whereabouts, Saudi Arabia have most recently admitted that he was murdered after a fight broke out in the consulate. Following this, 18 Saudi nationals have been arrested, with a source telling the Washington Post that in recordings you could hear how he was interrogated, tortured and then murdered. Questions are now pointed towards Prince Mohammed, who told Bloomberg News that his government was very keen to find out what had happened. Countries are now under pressure to halt armed exports with Saudi Arabia after the German Chancellor Angela Merkel did so herself this week. More on this story is to come next week. Your third national news story of the week concerns Trump's plan on pulling out of the Cold War missile deal. The Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty, known as the INF Treaty, was signed by the US and the USSR in 1987. Trump speaks about how he no longer wishes to honour the agreement due to Russia constantly breaking the rules. Russia's Deputy Foreign Minister has responded by calling the action a very dangerous step. He adds that if the US continue to behave clumsily and crudely, then Russia will have no choice but to undertake retaliatory measures involving military technology. That's all from us for your local, national and international news stories.
This has been The State of It, and we'll see you again next week.